Hello. We are in week 4 of Advent. We have 4 candles lit. 2 are a little bit struggling. We are finishing up soon, Bartholomew's passage, and today we're reading part 6. The final chapter is Bartholomew's passage. The light radiating from the angel shimmered like the waves of heat above a fire. It's like looking at all the gold and diamonds in the world, Bartholomew thought, only much more beautiful. The brightness of the light did not hurt his eyes, but somehow the sight was so holy that he could not bear to look at it. He covered his face with his fingers and fell to the ground as the angel spoke. "And so Jehovah has sent me with this message for you, Salamar of Persia," he said. And Bartholomew could hear Ishtar gasp. "Do not trust this king called Herod, for he is not the true king of the Jews. Follow the star, and when you have found the babe, worship him in secret, for the forces of Herod are cruel and mighty. But the kingdom of God awaits him who obeys." "Glory to God in the highest," the angel boomed out, and the sound rattled the ground. "And on earth peace, for this is the night of the Messiah's birth." Suddenly the tent was dark again. Slowly Bartholomew raised his head, as did Ishtar and Salamar. The angel was gone, and Bartholomew examined his hands, almost expecting to be burned as if from the sun. So shocked were the boys that neither could say a word. They just looked dumbly from each other to the front of the tent where the angel had stood and back again. Salamar, too, sat in shock, until he slowly turned around at the sound of the boys shuffling. "Ishtar," he wheezed, "did you see this thing? Did you hear?" "Yes, father," Ishtar answered weakly. "Then go and wake my brothers," the father continued, regaining his composure. "Tell them we must leave at once." Soon the whole camp was awake and chattering, as Nathan, Salamar, and Ishtar's 2 uncles consulted. Finally Salamar returned and addressed the whole camp. "We have decided that the caravan shall remain here," he said loudly enough to be heard, but not so loud his voice would carry to the other camp or inside the wall. "If the entire caravan leaves, Herod will be alerted and send spies. My brothers and I and a dozen men will follow the star when it appears," he said. "We shall take only a few tents and enough food for a day. Nathan, my son, and the boy Bartholomew will accompany us." Bartholomew and Ishtar grinned at each other. "I believe I know where the star will lead you, my friend," Nathan said to Salamar. "If you like, we could start in that direction." Salamar considered this idea. "No, my friend," he said, "we will wait for the star. Perhaps you do know where this Messiah will be born, but we must find him in our own way." Nathan smiled and nodded understanding. Suddenly someone shouted, and everyone looked to the star. "The star!" Bartholomew exclaimed. "That's the same star I saw from Qumran." Quickly a few tents were taken down and packed onto camels, along with other provisions. Then the small band started out, following the star up the Kidron Valley and toward the east. The road was flat and paved, unlike the other roads Bartholomew had traveled. "Jotham said that the Messiah is coming for all people, not just you Jews," Ishtar said as he walked beside Bartholomew. "It is as Nathan has told us," Bartholomew answered. Ishtar was silent for a moment. "I believe I will like having only one God," he said finally. "Perhaps he will answer more prayers than our other gods do." As all the excitement of seeing the angel and of the hasty departure passed, Bartholomew began to feel sleepy. His head kept nodding as he walked, and he felt as if a soft pillow were stuffed inside his skull. Ishtar, too, kept stumbling beside him, and Bartholomew wondered if there weren't a camel somewhere he could ride. But then the line came to a sudden stop, and the boys were instantly awake again. Running to the front of the little caravan, they found Salamar and the other men staring into the sky. "What is it?" Ishtar asked. "The star," the older man answered. "It has disappeared again." Both boys searched the sky with the men, but the special star was nowhere to be seen. Then someone yelled, "Look!" and all eyes turned to a little hill across the valley to their right. There in the dark sat a small village, covering the top of the hill like a turban on a head. "Bethlehem," Nathan said, and Bartholomew looked at him in surprise. "A quiet town," Salamar commented. Then with a sigh he said, "We shall camp here alongside the road until the star again appears." "I believe the star was leading you to that town," Nathan said to his friend. Salamar just shrugged. "Perhaps," he replied, "but until it guides us directly into the village or wherever it is taking us, we shall camp here." As the tents were unloaded and raised, Bartholomew found Nathan and pulled him aside. "That's Bethlehem," he whispered. Did you not say the Messiah will be born in Bethlehem?" "Indeed," Nathan whispered back. "It is most definitely so, but Salamar neither knows nor understands the Torah. He knows only the stars and will follow only them." "But the Messiah," Bartholomew pleaded, "he might even now be born over there." Yes, I know," Nathan said, "but I cannot leave my friend. It would be a terrible insult if it appeared I did not respect his decision." Nathan thought for a moment and then said, "Come with me." Together with Ishtar, they found Salamar waiting for his tent to be erected. "Salamar, my friend," Nathan said with a smile, "I believe I shall send Bartholomew into Bethlehem to fetch me some fresh dates. May I send your son Ishtar with him?" "Dates? At this time of night?" Salamar said. "For the peace of my inner workings," Nathan said. "My body is objecting to the trek my soul has taken it on." With a wave of his hand, Salamar said, "Oh, that! We have some fine potions that will ease your pain, some crushed water lily, perhaps, or roasted locusts." Nathan shook his head. No, those things are strangers to my body. I must have some fresh dates." Salamar said, "Very well, my son may accompany your charge." "Thank you, my friend," Nathan replied. Then he turned to Bartholomew and handed him some money, saying, "Be sure to hurry back if you find that which you seek." Bartholomew understood the hidden meaning and nodded. Then he and Ishtar ran out of the camp and across the valley toward Bethlehem, both wondering if they would find their friend Jotham. There were many shepherds camped outside the town, and the two boys had to weave their way around goatskin tents and corrals of sheep. Finally, they climbed up the other side of the valley and onto the road just where it entered Bethlehem. As they walked into the little town, they passed a man leading a donkey. On the donkey sat a young woman weeping softly. Bartholomew could tell the woman was going to have a baby, and he thought she looked large enough to have twins. The couple passed by, but Bartholomew could not ignore such a situation. "Good sir," he called to the man, "may I be of service? Your wife weeps, and it is many hours until morning. Is there a need I can meet for you?" The man stopped walking and turned back to the boys. "I fear not," he said. "My wife is in the pains of childbirth, but I can find no place for her to lay her head. I have been turned away from every inn in Bethlehem." Bartholomew thought for a moment. Surely there is at least one bed in all of Bethlehem. "Would you follow me so I may search for you?" The man hesitated, And then his wife let out a little cry, and he said to Bartholomew, "Yes, yes, we shall try again." Bartholomew led the way into the town, walking down the empty streets, past dark and closed-up buildings. He turned down one side street and then another, searching this way and that. Finally, he spied what he was looking for. As the man, the woman, the donkey, and Ishtar waited, Bartholomew went up to the wooden door of an inn and knocked. There was no reply. He knocked again, a bit louder, then heard some mumbling from inside. He knocked once more, and there was louder mumbling, followed by bumping noises and a crashing sound, and then the door opened a bit, and the hand of a sleeping man fell into the opening down on the floor. The face of another man, the one who had opened the door, appeared in the crack above and said angrily, "What is it?" Bartholomew was ready and spoke as excitedly as if he were watching a camel race. "Good sir," he said breathlessly, "what would you say if I told you your stable is on fire?" The round and bearded face came alive in shock. "My stable? On fire? Call my neighbors. Raise the alarm." The man was trying to push the sleeping man out of the door so he could open it as Bartholomew said, "Wait, wait. I have for you the best of news. Your barn is not on fire, and instead it holds its animals safely." The man stopped and stared at Bartholomew, head twisted to one side, confused. "Now surely," Bartholomew continued, "you will want to reward one who brings you such glorious news." The face of the man melted into anger. "So you would play me for the fool?" he shouted, and from somewhere inside the inn someone grumbled, "Quiet." Lowering his voice, the innkeeper said, "I shall give you nothing, boy, not one shekel." "I seek not shekels," Bartholomew said quickly, "nor anything at all for myself. I ask only that you may be my friend, and as a friend do me one favor." The man softened a bit, but was still suspicious. "And what sort of favor does a boy ask in the middle of the night?" "My friends here," Bartholomew answered, turning to the couple with the donkey. "They are in great need of a place to stay and a place to give birth to their child. Could you not spare a room for such needful people?" "Them!" the man shouted. "I already sent them away. I have no room. My inn is full, beyond full," he said, and he pointed to the sleeping man at his feet. "I would help them if I could, but there is simply nowhere to put them." "Well," Bartholomew said slowly, "if your stable is not burning, could they not sleep there?" The man harumphed and looked away, seemingly trying to think of a reason to refuse the boy. Bartholomew found his best innocent boy pleading voice and said, "Surely it is not too much to ask, especially for one who brings you the good news that your stable is not on fire." The man laughed despite himself. "No," he said, "it is not too much to ask, especially for a new friend. My name is Hazra," he said, putting out his hand, "and I am Bartholomew of Tadike. May Jehovah grant us a friendship that lasts longer than either of us lives." "Selah," said Hazra, and then he added, "I shall fetch some help and clean out the stable." "Then I will leave these fine people with you," Bartholomew answered, "as I go my way to complete my own journey." Bartholomew explained what was happening to the man and woman, and the man thanked him greatly, amazed that a 10-year-old boy could accomplish what he could not. With Ishtar by his side, Bartholomew headed down the street, and just before they turned out of sight, they heard Hazra open the door again and say to some unseen helper, "We need some fresh hay for our guests to lie on. Go to the meadow." That was all Bartholomew heard as he turned the corner and set out to search for the Messiah. Consider this. God sent an angel to warn Salamar about Herod. Does he ever give us warnings of danger ahead? What do I have to do to be ready to hear those warnings?